y'all. So basically, today it started off early this morning with some mess. So the government they sent the judge a letter. They submitted a letter to the judge complaining about Geragos or Garagos. I'm hoping I'm saying his name right. His name is Mark Garagos, and he is a law firm or a lawyer that is like a legal advisor for Diddy. So he's not actually on Diddy's legal team. He's not, one of his lawyers officially, but he's an advisor. So he's been in the courtroom and he's been around and in the midst of everything that's going on with this case. But the government is complaining to the judge per this letter this morning, letting the judge know that Mark has been on podcasts. He has a podcast that he owns, and he was on that podcast talking about this case. And they're complaining. They saying, "Hey, he's not supposed to be talking about this case outside of this courtroom, and he's doing just that." And the things that he's saying on that podcast could possibly sway the public's opinion on this case. So they're asking the judge to make him be quiet because, yeah, he has a podcast. I'm actually just going to read the letter to you guys really quick. It's not that long. I don't have my glasses, but hopefully I can see it good enough to read it to you guys. It says the government respectfully writes following the first day of jury selection in the above captioned matter. During the course of jury selection, despite the presence of 7 defense attorneys who have filed notices of appearance in this case and a jury consultant, the defense team appeared to consult with Mark Garagos and other members of the Garagos and Garagos law firm who were present in court. Mr. Garagos and his firm have a long-standing relationship with the defendant. It says, I'm trying to skip over, but neither Mr. Garagos nor any member of his firm has filed a notice of appearance in this case. So none of them filed the notice of appearance, meaning they're not officially representing Diddy. So I don't even know why they there or why the judge is allowing him to even be in the courtroom. If you're not representing him, what you doing here? Anywho, nevertheless, given Mr. Garagos' apparent role as an advisor to the defendant and the defense team, the government respectfully requests the court to remind Mr. Garagos and members of his firm of their obligations pursuant to Local Rule 23.1 such and such, which states that during a jury trial of any criminal matter, including the period of selection of the jury, no lawyer or law firm associated with the defense should give or authorize any extrajudicial statement or interview relating to the trial or the parties or issues in the trial which a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated by means of public communication if there is a substantial likelihood that such dissemination will interfere with a fair trial. So he's not supposed to be talking outside of the courtroom, period. Basically, he's soaking up information and then going to run his mouth on his podcast. That's what's going on. It say the need for the course admonishment is necessary given that as recently as 3 days ago, Mr. Garagos spoke at length about the trial in this case in his podcast called Two Angry Men. Mr. Garagos' podcast with Harvey Levin, the creator of the tabloid news organization TMZ. During the podcast, Mr. Garagos opined on a variety of topics, including characterizing specific pieces of evidence in this case, describing the government's use of the Intercontinental Hotel video surveillance as character assassination, the makeup of the prosecution team handling this case, observing that it could look like you're prosecuting a cause, and arguments the defense intends to make, noting that the defendant has a violent temper, and especially, I think, when you combine that with drug use, but that isn't what he's charged with. In the podcast, Mr. Garagos advises listeners that he will be back next week to discuss further. So I'm going to just stop right there. So basically, he's soaking up information and then going to talk and give his opinion on the podcast and saying I'll be back next week. Basically, wait till we see what happened in court and I'll come update y'all on what's going on. So yeah, they definitely need to stop him in his tracks because like I said yesterday, and I'm gonna continue to say it, Diddy definitely need to face the music for everything that he's done allegedly. Everything in his video is alleged. But I still say that he should get a fair trial. I'm gonna keep saying that he should get a fair trial. I want to see it. If he go down, if he get time, whatever happened, whatever the outcome turn out to be in this case, I want to see it done fairly. Because for one, it's still so many questions up in the air, especially for the public. They probably know what's going on. We still waiting to get, information, and we getting it a little bit at a time. And I'm sure over the 8-week period, a lot of our questions will be answered. But there's still so many questions, such as this list of 190 celebrities and public figures. Also, and I forgot to mention this yesterday, on that list is also places. That's why we keep hearing things about like the hotels, Intercontinental, and there was another one, the Peninsula. Is a few places on there too. And you can imagine that it would be, considering that in a lot of the motions that was filed and throughout the months, we heard about incidents or things that possibly happened inside of hotels and hotel workers that was helping set things up. And yeah, even with that Cassie tape, the CNN, I think it was CNN, paid off the hotel to give them the copy of the tape and all this. So yeah, they on the list too. So with that being said, it makes you wonder, how are all these people getting away with the things that they did and not being charged? Because basically y'all co-conspirators. Y'all should be charged with a crime as well, in my opinion. I'm going to keep saying that. I don't care. And even in week 8, I'm still going to be saying that. When this trial is over, I'm still going to be saying that. I'm going to say that almost every day that I talk about this Diddy case. Because I just don't see how that's not happening. You don't need that many witnesses. So at the end of the day, I want to see him get a fair trial. So that way it won't be, because anything fishy go on, we automatically going to think, okay, y'all trying to cover something. What's going on? Because it's already looking like that. Considering he's on trial by himself in such a huge case with so many people accusing him of things. There's literally 70 civil cases, I believe it is. We ain't even got to that yet. If he lose this trial, honey, most of them gonna get paid. In my opinion, that's what you would think. They still gotta prove their case, but it's gonna make it easier for them to probably win a case in civil court if he lose this trial. So yeah, I want to see everything done fair and square. That way, ain't no nothing hidden in the cut somewhere where people can come say, well, no, that's not what happened, and this and that and the other. Now, moving right along, because I don't want to talk about one thing too long. I could be talking all day. I wanted to come and let you guys know what was going on inside the courtroom, because today it seemed like I read most of what I'm going to read to you guys, which is the live transcript of what's going on in the courtroom right now. And yeah, it seemed like they're not having good luck with the jurors today. Now, I don't know since the last time I read an update if something new has happened, but from what I read, it seemed like the first 4 or 5 jurors or potential jurors was dismissed for different reasons. And it just don't seem like they have good luck. And I'm just going to go ahead and start reading it to you guys. Hopefully, it's a little bit better than it was yesterday, because the grammar was a little bit off. Again, like I told you guys yesterday, he typed this stuff live in the courtroom. So he's trying to get the information and responses to us as fast as possible. And so, yeah, it's going to be some mistakes or, grammar mistakes in here. So, of course, the judge came in and said, all rise and all that good stuff. And he moved right along to juror number 48. He started with juror 48 today. And he said, let me see, bring in juror 48. Any yes answers? So the judge asked them as soon as they come in, do they have any yes answers to the questionnaires that they were given? So they have to answer, do if any of their answers was yes, and also did they know anybody off that celebrity list that I talked about yesterday. So juror 48 said yes. The crime victim question. Unfortunately, there was an attempt R word towards me. I felt like the cops could have done a lot more. I was just glad it didn't go far further. The judge said, sorry to hear that. Well, where did it happen? Juror said, in the Bronx. They arrested him, but he had a fake ID. I never got a call back. The judge said, could you be fair? The juror, number 48, said, it takes a lot of healing. You have to believe in something. Give yourself grace. The judge said, are you in therapy? The juror said, not now. I have my own way. The judge said, on your questionnaire, you wrote P. Diddy has money and could buy his way out. What did you mean? And the juror 48 said, just what I wrote. And the juror was excluded. So I don't know if the judge said something behind it. He don't have a response, but he was excluded. So I guess you got smart with the judge and he got you up out of there. Okay, so moving on. The next juror was juror 61. The judge said, your father has received training. I don't know what that's about. A lot of details is skipped over in this transcript. So it's like I'm reading parts and we don't know what it means because obviously something is missing, but we're going to try to piece it together. So the judge said, your father has received training. And juror 61, which is a female, said, my father is faculty support for victims of SA on campus in Indiana under Title 9 or 10. Judge said, Title 9, has he spoke with you about it or would it impact you? The juror said no. The judge said, where did you hear about this case? Juror 61 said, CNN. I lean negative towards him having committed some crimes, but I don't know. The judge said, could you be fair? Juror 61 said, yes. Judge said, go back to courtroom 26B. And Combs Agnifilio, that's Diddy and his lawyer, said, move to strike for cause. The judge said, I agree. Juror 61 is excluded. Next is juror 88. So that's so far what? 2 jurors excluded. The juror said the judge said any yes answers. Asked juror 88, do they have any yes answers? Juror 88, which is a female, said, yes, I am in therapy for my knees. The judge said, your knees? And the juror said, I'd have to ask the therapist if I could come in on Saturday. The judge said, late at night or early. The juror said, it's their call. Juror 88 says, my son works in Rockland County, executive ADA criminal cases. The judge said, could you be fair? The juror said, I don't know. The judge said, you love your son, wouldn't it be hard? The juror said, I don't know. What I say is bias may not be what you say it is. Juror 88 also said, I can't say I wouldn't be biased. I would try. The judge said, head back to 26B. And it says, I strike the juror for cause. So they excluded them too, I'm guessing. Yep, they excluded them. Now, they moved on to juror 101, which is a male. And the juror said, I have a question. The judge said, okay. And the juror said, I have 7 stents in my heart. I just can't. And the judge excluded them. That's it. It didn't give any more details or say what the judge said after that. The judge just excluded them. Next juror was a female. So that's what, 4? Yep. The next juror is a female. She said, I have had SA harassment training and majored in psychology. The judge said, could you be fair? She said, yes. My mother was in a car crash. It was fatal. We had a lawsuit. And my sister, she got into drugs and got abused. Later, she passed away of the C word. Okay? The juror leaves. The judge says, any applications, neither side objects. She is in the pool. So she's the first one in for the day. So she made number 5. The next juror, juror 137. says, I know a Robert Dunn from high school, but it's a common name. The judge said, where did you go to high school? He said, Trinity High School. My father was a psychiatrist and I know many. The judge said, what do you do? The juror said, I'm a realtor at Sotheby's. I know a lot of lawyers and I am my brother in the surrogate's court on our father's estate. We had to fight to get what the will said. This is going to sound incredible. It took 10 years. I'm wondering why they talking about stuff that like literally don't have anything to do. Maybe it was a question on the questionnaire because a lot of them are coming in and talking about stuff like the one who talked about her mother getting in a car accident and things like that. So obviously they asked them something that made them, you know, reveal this much information. Anywho, Juror 137 said, my father and I were on I-97 and a rock was thrown down on us. I saw the clip of the defendant by a hotel elevator in a towel. There was a woman on the ground. I can't recall it. I believe he's in jail in New York City. The judge said, could you be fair? The juror said, yes. Okay. And the government says we don't object to that motion to strike. The judge said he is excluded. So now it's juror 143, which is a male. So they excluded him too. That's crazy. They're excluding a lot of them today. So what? So far, only 1 out of 6 or 7 is in. Okay, juror 143, which is a male, and he said, "Now this is crazy. This is crazy because I was gonna mention this in the beginning of the video. This juror right here is a lawyer, and he went against the judge's instructions, which was do not read anything about the case, do not listen to any podcasts about the case, do not watch anything on TV or any news. Basically, stay away from anything about the case. If somebody's talking about it, stay away from it. Whether it's online, podcast, video, radio, whatever, stay away from it and do not talk about the case with anybody, family or friends, no one." So let me get back to them so you can see what he did. The judge said, okay, the juror said, I read an article going home from the courthouse about the jury selection process. So basically when he was on his way home yesterday, he read something about the jury selection process. The judge said, you wasn't supposed to. And the juror said, from my phone, I read who got excluded. And the juror said, my wife is a child cancer psychologist. And the judge said, where? And the juror said, New York or NYU. And I'm a lawyer. The judge said, where? He said, in-house at Transact with a Z. I clerked in the Maryland State Attorney's Office. I was arrested for a DUI. Then the juror said, my wife and I were victims of ID theft, credit card theft, credit card theft. The judge said when? He said a week ago. And then Combs Agnifilio said, which is Diddy and his lawyer, said, I have a question. And he hands the question up to the judge. The judge then asked, how did you find the article yesterday? And he said, on my phone on Metro North. And the government says, we are concerned. The government also said this juror is trained as a lawyer, but did not obey. He read about jury selection. Combs Agnifilio said, I'm not concerned enough for a cause challenge. He was honest. We object to the U.S. motion. And the judge said he disclosed it. The government says he clicked. The judge said, I'll strike juror 143. Phone reader is out. So, yeah. So basically, Combs and his lawyer, really his lawyer, because his lawyer is the one that's doing the talking, wanted to keep that juror, even though he had broken rules. And the government was like, no, we don't want to keep him. We want him out. He's not following instructions. So the judge ultimately agreed with the government and got him up out of there. So yeah, it goes on, and that was like the main one that I wanted you guys to hear. It just go to show that they have a crazy bunch or a batch of. I ain't gonna say a crazy batch. Let me find the right way to say this. The batch of jurors or potential jurors that they have in there, it just seems like they got a lot going on. They have a lot going on. And I'm starting to believe that a lot of them are making up excuses just to get out of jury duty at this point. Because it seemed like everybody got an excuse. But the judge is dismissing them. He's not playing games. A lot of them, he's dismissing them. Okay? Let me see what else we got. So juror 149 is a male. I had a 4-week rotation into psychiatry in my medical training. I'm at my Mount Sinai in surgical pathology. I've been an expert witness in 4 or 5 cases, medical malpractice. The juror 149 also says my son was beaten up and had his cell phone stolen while at GWU. The judge said, by who? The judge said, I was told it was 3 young black men. The judge said, would you be biased? The judge said, people are people. And the judge said, I will not strike him for cause. Both sides agreed to keep him. The next juror, which was a male, said, I might be elected officer in my union, but no, so I won't start a new job on June 16th. My wife was a victim of the M word. And the judge said, by who? And he said, by uncle. In our culture, it was swept under the rug. And the judge said, what culture? And he said, Puerto Rican. The jurors also said, mostly everyone saw the video of the defendant and his ex-girlfriend. The judge said, you wrote he looked angry and hostile and entitled. And the juror said, I did. And the judge said, could you be fair? He said, yes. And he leave the courtroom, and neither side objected to him staying. So I think we had about 3 that got a chance to stay now. So now the judge said 160. So I guess they're on 160. A lot of the information is missing. So it's like skipping over things that in here, like I told you guys. So we're just gonna keep going. The judge now is talking to 160. He said, 160, do you personally know any of the people on the list? Juror 160, which is a female, said, I wish I did, but no, and laughs. What's funny? Juror 160 said, I once, with my ex-boyfriend, supported him in his child support case. The judge said, parties, any questions? And both sides said no. And so she got in. Basically, they keeping her. Next juror said, I designed kitchens in Yonkers. On commission, the judge said, if you were here for 8 weeks, what percent of your income will be hit? And the judge said 30%. I could survive it. My wife is suing my landlord. The judge said, for what? And he said, for repairs. I have friends who have been SA'd. I don't know how your income being affected got anything to do with your landlord being sued. That was weird to me, but like I said, a lot of stuff is missing from this transcript, so maybe more was said that's not here. But moving right along, the juror also said, one of my brothers went to jail for robbery, another one for fraud. They're both home now. On the news, I saw this trial was coming up. It's been all over the news, including this morning. It was on in my house. The judge said, you wasn't supposed to, and I guess it cut off, but it said you wasn't supposed to watch it, because they know they wasn't supposed to do that. And so it's looking like they keeping him, because it's in quotes saying leaves both. He leaves and then both okay him. So I guess both sides are okay with him staying. Okay, so now we on to juror 175. And they said, my mother is a cancer survivor. I take her to appointments at Jacoby Hospital in the Bronx. My nephew was a gang member and he was palled by a police officer. They dropped the charges and he is supposed to come out in July. That's state court. The judge said, how is your English? And the juror 175 said, sometimes reading it is hard, difficult words. The judge said, can you sit here and read emails and my legal instructions? Juror 175 said, I think so. At the hospital, I distribute supplies, disposable and disposables. Then he leaves. The government says they want him out. Agnifilio said, we think he'll be fine, so they want to keep him. The text messages in this case are in simple English. We object to their motion to strike him. Then the government says the texts are abbreviated and with typos hard to interpret. And the judge said, I will not exclude him for cause, but per reimperatories. So basically, like I explained yesterday, he ain't gonna strike him, but when they get to the final 45 potential jurors, when that'll be the time that they'll select the 12 jurors for this trial and 6 potential or backup jurors. Okay, and so just like yesterday, the judge kept one that the defense team didn't want to keep. Today he's keeping one that the government don't want to keep, and so they'll have to come to an agreement and negotiate when they get to the per reimperatory portion of the jury selection. So yeah, so it's gonna be some from both sides that they don't want that, and they just gonna have to come to an agreement on that. So at least the judge is being fair in that aspect. Okay. So let me see. Okay, the next juror, I don't know what juror number she is. I guess she's 175. Oh no, we on the same juror. And it says, juror female, on a questionnaire, I said I hadn't seen the defendant on TV, but I did. And I have been traumatized back in Ivory Coast in war. It was a lot of things. The judge said, you can't be on the jury. The 175, the juror 175 said, I cannot. The judge said, you are excluded. Yep. So they still got him out of there, or her. Okay, juror 180. Which is a female. We once had to evict someone from a commercial warehouse in Mexico. Also, I get stomach aches. I'm not 100%. I might have to take bathroom breaks. Sorry, too much information. The judge said, can you sit through a movie? 180 says yes. Also, I feel guilt. The judge said, anything in your religious beliefs that would bias you? And the juror said, because I am Catholic, I think I am very tolerant. And Agnifilio said, no questions. The government passes for a written question. And then the judge asked, what was your surgery? And the juror said, I had COVID. So no telling what that was about. And the judge excluded that juror. So then up to this point, they took a break, and I guess they probably went on lunch or something like that. So later on, I am going to wait until court is all the way over, and then I'm going to go through the rest of the transcript to see if there's anything that is of any importance that I'm sure people will want to hear, if it's like some more names are called and things like that. So far, no names have been called from that list today from what I see. But again, it's been like about an hour since I seen the last update. So I am going to go and look to see if there's any new updates. But I'm going to probably wait and just let you guys know later, unless something real good come out. Because right now, the only thing that could possibly come out, or the only way that something could possibly come out, is if one of the jurors says one of the names that's on the list. Because nothing is being revealed this week for real, besides what the jurors or potential jurors are responding to or saying in court, their responses. So that's how we got all the names yesterday. It was from the potential jurors who were coming in the courtroom. The judge was asking them if they knew anybody on the list, and they were saying the names. So the names that they were saying was in the transcript. So far, no names have been said today in the transcript besides the Intercontinental Hotel that was mentioned earlier in the transcript by one of the jurors. But other than that, yes, that's pretty much it. For now, I just wanted to give you guys an update because I plan on updating as much as I can throughout this trial, which is expected to last up to 8 weeks. But as much stuff going on, honey, I wouldn't be surprised if it would be longer. But yeah, it's expected to last a full 8 weeks, and it's expected to be intense. There are several people that said that so much is going to come out and this case is going to take a turn when trials start. I truly believe that. I told you guys a while back that it's going to be everything different than what we think it is. Like it's going to be, it's not going to be what we expect. I believe that. And there are so many people saying that. So I feel like we need to expect the unexpected and get ready because this trial is, yeah, it's going to be a ride. And I expect to update y'all on everything that happened as much as I can throughout the day, every single day. So with that being said, this video is already long enough. I was not trying to talk that long, but since I wasn't doing anything else, I'm like, I might as well read the transcripts. Maybe people want to hear it. So other than that, I'll see you guys later on. I'm sure something else will come out before today is out. And when it do, I'll be back. Until next time, bye y'all.